Hey everybody, let's see. Just want to plug us in. Let's see, can you guys hear me? Let me know. I'm just going to put this on, get a little better sound. Alrighty. Alrighty. Oh, hey, Michelle. All right. So, hey, everybody. I'm Kate Beaters, your breakthrough success expert. And please say hi. Let me know who's here. I was thinking the other day about vacations and travel. Is anyone else thinking about that? Where you want to go and what you want to do once we actually can? And one of my favorite places that I love visiting was Greece. Has anybody else been there? I loved the Greek islands I went to. Oh my gosh, first of all, so gorgeous, right? Oops, don't want to knock my computer over. Greek islands are so gorgeous. I only went to like five of them, is what, 6,000 total or something like that. But food is amazing. People are just so wonderful and so hospitable. Men are handsome. The women are beautiful. I mean, just this gorgeous island. Oh, in the water, any picture you take is just phenomenal. And I remember we were doing these tours, and one of them was the big museum in Athens, and the tour guide was saying to us that underneath where the museum was built this was all built upon a previous civilization, or maybe it was even two civilizations. I forgot what she said, but I just got goosebumps, right? Because it's like, how cool is that? And it reminded me of Greek mythology. Remember studying that in school? Like, I don't know, maybe it was sixth grade, seventh grade, something like that. Anyone else study that with like Zeus and Apollo and Athena and, all the different, Greek gods and goddesses and all the stories? It was so cool. And one of them that has always kind of stood in my mind is Phoenix Rising. And I actually felt that when I switched and became an entrepreneur, that I really was going through my own Phoenix Rising. And I've reinvented myself. I've pivoted many times in my work career. However, I don't think I've ever had an experience like starting my own business. And for those of you who aren't familiar or don't remember what the Phoenix Rising story is, it's also Greek mythology. And in really short terms, it's really about coming up from the ashes. The phoenix is this bird, and it comes from the fire and ashes, and it's stronger and more powerful than it was in its previous form. And I really felt like that's what I went through, and that's kind of what happened to me, even though I had pivoted many times in the past. And for me, when I graduated from college, I became a flight attendant, actually a senior flight attendant. And of course, I was the one who made all the welcome announcements, like, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard," and all that good stuff. But I was also, in all seriousness, responsible for everybody's life on the plane. And of course, the pilots were like the chief people in charge. But often, if there was that type of a serious emergency, they either were too busy or didn't make it. And so I was responsible for making sure that all 297 people got off the plane or their bodies got off, and the same with the pilots and the rest of the crew, 10, 11, 12 people. That's a lot of responsibility to take on. And then when I left the airlines, I pivoted again. I reinvented myself, and I went into retail management. And I worked for a fellow who basically created, years before I ever met him, he had created off-price retail, and man was like a genius. And I learned all sorts of things from him. I learned about pricing, which is super important as an entrepreneur. I learned about the magic price point because, if you price too high, it's not good enough, and if you price too low, it's not good enough. It's finding that sweet spot where people just are like, yes, and it makes people say yes to your products and services. So that has come in super handy for both my own business as well as my clients. I also, over the years in retail, hired at least 1,000 people, fired a lot, learned about training people and building teams. And working for this fellow, I became a regional manager, and he had probably several hundred stores across the country. And at various times, some were not performing the way they should, even though maybe some were newer and some might have been even, 10 years old. And he would send me out to these stores and have me evaluate what to do. Should we keep the store? Should we keep investing in it? Or do we just cut our losses and move forward? Because, it's about making it being profitable. And he trusted me. And it's kind of like, I'm sure a lot of you now with your businesses might be sitting there saying, like, do I keep going forward? I've already invested a lot. Do I keep moving forward, or do I cut my losses and shift? So these are really valuable skills I learned, because even if sometimes he had an existing lease, it didn't matter. It was time to just kind of cut it and move forward. And from there, I did another shift. I reemerged, I pivoted, and I went into business development. And what was really interesting about that is I was not given a list of clients to go out and sell, which would be really nice. I was given a list of zero, much like when we are entrepreneurs, when we start our own businesses, we're not given a list of anybody, right? It's like you got to go out and find them. And so I had to turn a list of zero into a list of, millions of dollars of sales each year. And through that, for me, I'm a bit of an introvert. I had to learn how to sell, had to learn how to overcome objections, not take things personally. Had to also learn how to get repeat business. Many of my clients I kept for 15, 16 years, and get referrals. So there were a lot of really important and valuable skills that I took with me as I continue to grow and be successful. And my last pivot, was starting my business. And the reason it reminds me so much of Phoenix Rising is because it was a very, very different type of pivot, very different type of change. Because anytime I went to work with a company, there were always, rules in place, and there were policies and goals and this and, all sorts of things, like this is how we do things. And when you're an entrepreneur, you do all that. So for me, so much of my Phoenix Rising was really determining what kind of business do I want to grow? Like, what's going to make me really proud? Who do I want to work with? What really excites me? Who do I want to line myself up with? And making sure that I'm constantly doing that, as well as being profitable, right? Because there's no sense in having a business if you're not making money. So that was really huge. And I learned that every time I was trying to think the best way to say this, every time I did pivot, I often did take a step back, but I always moved way further ahead than I ever was before. So what I want to suggest to you all right now is this is a really amazing and wonderful time to have your own Phoenix Rising, to have your own pivot, because things are quieter, they're moving a little bit slower, and it's a perfect chance to really get in touch and say, like, so where do I want to go from here? What do I want to do next? How do I keep my business profitable? Because people are making money in this economy. Just like people making money in the last recession in 2008 and 2009, people are making money. It's learning how to make that money. So one of the ways you start is by asking yourself questions like, so what do I need to let go of? Like, what is no longer serving me? What is holding me back? There might be tangible physical things, could be mindset things. And it's also the same thing about asking yourself on the flip side, so what do I need to bring in? Where do I need to shift my mindset? And what kind of physical things do I need to bring in? Now, some of those questions might sound super easy to you, but what I want to share with you is a couple things to really think about. And this is really critical, so please pay attention. Um, I run into a lot of people who are procrastinators. I run into a lot of people who are perfectionists, who have fear of failing, fear of success, and all that stuff. So understand that when you are making these decisions about what to let go of or what to bring back in, you're making decisions from your point of view. So if you have a fear of failing, every decision you make is going to be around not failing. If you have a fear of everything needs to be perfect, or it's not good enough, or you're not good enough, every decision you make will be around that place, which means you're not playing it out fully. You're keeping yourself in a small little bubble, and it's not going to allow you to build the profitable business that you love and that you're passionate about. Now, Einstein has this expression: if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to keep getting the same results. And so I want to invite you, if you're thinking about pivoting, if you want to pivot, to check out katebeaters.com/pivot. That's katebeaters.com/pivot. And what I'm offering for a very short time are are like mini VIP sessions, almost like like a mini VIP, but it's almost like, but it's basically a pivot session. And what we're going to do is we're going to be spending that time helping you really get the clarity on what direction you need to go so you can pivot your business and be profitable. So that's katebeaters.com/pivot. And what I want you to think about is that scientists have shown that 70% of what we think about or what we thought about yesterday is the same stuff we're thinking about today, is the same stuff we're thinking about tomorrow. And it's the same with the action we take. 70% of it is the same as what we did yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and so on. And that's why it's so important to have that person, have me, that mentor there, that guide to help you as you go through your pivot, because otherwise you're just going to see things through your clouded lenses. Now, I know some of you are thinking that things will ultimately go back to how they were. Maybe you're just biding time or treading water. And what I want to share with you is that things will never be the same as they were, last January before the pandemic really hit. They won't. If you go back and you think about 9/11, which now was, 19 years ago, that when 9/11 hit, remember they changed everything at the airport. You think about TSA, that was all formed because of that. And it was so strict initially, I think you couldn't even bring nail clippers in. I think now they allow them, but still the rules are still in place. You still have to take off your shoes and take off your jacket and pull things out of your bags and all the lines. Even if you get one of those things, I forgot what they're called. I have one of those too. You pay whatever it is, like $75 a year, and you get through a little faster. You still have all these things that you never had to do before. And I think about going into Boston when I used to go call on my clients. I could go into any building, anytime, anywhere. Well, after 9/11, they started changing the rules. I had to check in with the front desk. They would call up and say, there's a Kate Beaters here to see you. Can she come? And then they quick print up a badge, And what I've noticed since then is that it hasn't gotten better. It's gotten stricter because now often in many of the buildings, the security guard will actually go and punch the button of the floor I'm going to. So I don't even have the choice of which button. I have to go to exactly that floor. So I promise you that things will not be the same. What it actually looks like, I don't know. Hopefully it won't be as strict as it is right now, but things will never be how they were last January. And that's why it's so important. Take this time to reinvent. Take this time to reemerge, to reimagine how you want to be and to pivot. Because you can do this. Every time I've done it, I may have taken a step back initially, but then I soared. And you can do the same thing too. So if that interests you, go to katebeaters.com/pivot. And if you're watching this video training too late and you miss out on this, just email my team, info@katebeaters.com, and we can talk about coaching together. But again, a reminder, this is your time. This is your chance. Don't miss out on it. So until we meet again, be brilliant.